This occasion to honor Dr. June Klinghoffer and her passing a year ago last May, who's been an absolute icon and leader, friend, physician, philanthropist, and mentor for many people in this room and beyond. It's really my privilege to help to lead this program.
Never before or after her. She touched our lives as only a world-class teacher can do. She will live on in the hearts and minds of all who she met, especially those many generations of physicians who she taught and who are now teaching the next generation of physicians. June, we love you and we miss you, but you will forever be in our hearts.
A little bit of who she has been in the past by carrying her distinguished professorship. I appreciate that the Dean gave me that honor, and I will live up to it as best I can for the rest of my time as the chair. Thank you very much.
So, I got to know June on a warm July day in 1995 when I started my job. The pathology department was on the 5th floor at MCP, and it was right around the corner from where Dr. Klinghoffer's office was located. So one afternoon she walked over and knocked on my door and came in and sat down and proceeded to sort of evaluate me. Figure out whether my being there was a good thing or a bad thing or a neutral thing. Naturally she started with, you know, what school do you come from? Are you an MCP or a Hahnemann, or what's the story? It turned out I was like Switzerland. I was from Jeff. So she never held that against me, though. She was very open-minded. Where did I do my residency? Hahnemann or MCP? Well, that was also Jeff. So I dug myself a hole at that point. But she knew that I was interested in teaching. She knew I did pathology, and probably the best thing I ever did was a few months later, we got new editions of Robbins, and I had the older edition, which was still pretty new around, and she walked by and she picked it up and she was looking through it, and I said, well, which edition do you have, Dr. Klinghoffer? And she said, oh, you know, mine's really old. So I gave her the last edition, and that was the day that I think we really became friends. Giving June a book and giving her the latest knowledge, I didn't know it at the time, but that was probably the quickest way to her heart. Over the next few years, I was an MCP, and we spent some time together. Not that much time, though. And then I wound up down at Hahnemann, where I got to be a very close friend of Dr. Kathy Ryan, who, it turns out, was June's successor in running the internal medicine clerkship. And the two of them were very close. And she'll tell you some things about that. But that sort of let me into the inner charm circle of June's life, and I got to know her family and spend time at her house. And I guess one of the things I like to think about is, in order to fully capture someone's essence, you could take a walk through their house. If you came to June's house during the last several years, you'd be ushered into the den, the TV watching room, where she had her TV and a remote and things like that. But more importantly, if you looked around the room, you'd see a table cluttered with photographs like you would in most people's houses, pictures of friends and family. But if you look toward the back of that collection, there were pictures of Bob operating. And they were sort of hidden so that your average visitor wouldn't be sick or anything. Looking at the pictures, they were a little bloody, but you knew that, you know, they were in the back of the table, but they were in the front of her heart. If you looked on one of the walls, there was a giant poster-sized picture of June and Isaac. Isaac maybe 2.5 years old, and both of them are going like this. And it was the happiest, most gleeful photograph I ever saw.
Well, I got to know June on multiple levels, and I remember the first time that I ever met June. I was the program or the clerkship director over at Hahnemann, and it was when we merged the schools. So I had to go to June's office, and we had to discuss how we were going to merge the medical school class. So I walked in, and I remember the first thing I saw was monkeys. I mean, hundreds of monkeys. all over the place. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting decorating motif. Little did I know that that was one of her favorite animals, and she had even many more at home. Well, then June comes in, and she kind of looks at me, and she kind of gave you that kind of, you know, she had her lab coat on, she kind of gave you that once-over look. And I thought, uh-oh, so I knew exactly what you felt like, Rick. And I thought, okay, we're going to have some questions here. And she asked me very interesting questions. The first one, do you smoke? And I said, no. She went, And I thought, okay, strike one. What do you think about scotch? I don't drink scotch. So, what school did you graduate from? Hahnemann. And I thought, okay, now I have just struck out 3 times, and I haven't even said hello yet. So then I thought, how am I gonna rectify this? And I said, but Dr. Klinghoffer, Hahnemann must be okay, because didn't your husband, Dr. Wenger, graduate from Hahnemann? And he must have been okay. And she looked at me and she goes, yeah, you got a point there. And from then on, we were great friends, and we actually got to travel a little bit together, going to clerkship director meetings, so I got to be introduced to the new use for baby bottles, which was quite interesting to me. So, you know,
Dr. Klinghoffer with a cigarette and a cup of coffee. And I started my presentation, and she was so calm and reassuring and wonderful. Someone mentioned a mother figure. She was really the matriarch, really, of the college family. And I felt so supported. I mean, that's why I went to internal medicine with a specialty of endocrinology. But you know, you can't talk about June without mentioning and talking about Sid. I went from the all-women women's medical college to Jefferson when it was all male medical school. They went co-educational after Harvard. And one day as I was finishing my endocrine, I took a crosstown bus getting into Center City on Broad Street, and at the next stop, who walked on but Sid. And as soon as he saw me in the middle of the bus, he said, "We're having a baby!" Well, everyone on the bus clapped. I mean, it was one of those moments in time that you just never forget. I guess that was you. Were you there?
It is an honor and a privilege for me to formally present a Drexel 100 medal to the family of the late Dr. June Klinghoffer, class of 1945. Joining me for the presentation, and I invite to the podium now, Dr. Klinghoffer's son, Dr. Robert Wenger, his wife, Dr. Sharon Lukanik, and their son, Isaac. Medal is the university's highest honor given exclusively to the alumni of this institution, and I am sure you will all agree that there is no alumna more deserving of our recognition than Dr. Klinghoffer. In 2007, Dr. Klinghoffer was the first among the first group of alumni from the College of Medicine to be inducted into the Drexel 100. And due to her ill health, Dr. Klinghoffer was never able to receive her Drexel 100 medal in person. So we are so proud today to be able to demonstrate the university's utmost regard for Dr. Klinghoffer by presenting her family with this well-deserved honor.
Mom would love being here and seeing so many family and friends and old colleagues and sharing the stories. She would have had a hard time listening to all the accolades. That wasn't her style. But just a great day for our family and to sit and remember such a great career.